Hello, I'm Ed McNulty. I'm the editor of the online film journal Visual Parables. Now, whether you've come across this video from the homepage of Visual Parables or found it by exploring YouTube, I'm going to take a few moments to tell you about Visual Parables and especially how we approach film from a Christian perspective.
As pastor of a local church, from the very beginning of my ministry, I was using films in church programs and in my preaching. In fact, I was very grateful at that time for books and magazine articles that helped me to link film and faith. Especially helpful was a film rental program called Dialogue with the World, written by Methodist educator the Reverend G. William Jones. I remember that it was Jones or some other film commentator who quoted the Italian film director Federico Fellini as saying, "My purpose as a filmmaker is to make you see." Seeing, of course, he meant as looking at more than just the surface of a scene or person, seeing in the sense of discerning life's underlying purpose or its meaning. To make you see. This is also my purpose in writing about films and visual parables. I review films in these pages through the framework of the Scriptures, seeking similarities and parallels between their themes and viewpoints. When I began Visual Parables in 1990 as a newsletter, I chose the name because Jesus always taught with parables. His short stories and similes appealed to his listeners' imaginations and stretched their minds so that they had to struggle with what he meant when he preached the kingdom through parables. When he explained to his puzzled disciples the meaning of his parable of the soil and seeds, he told them, "Blessed are your eyes, for they see." In writing about a film from the standpoint of parable, I hope then that the same thing might be said of the reader of this journal as well. Thus, most of my film reviews begin with a quotation from the Hebrew Scriptures or the New Testament, somehow related to the film, I hope. Sometimes I spend almost as much time seeking out an appropriate text as I spend on writing the review. I believe that the Scripture can help us see film in a different way, and that the film itself can enable us to see the Scriptures in a new or fresh way. This, I think, is what G. William Jones meant years ago when he called his program Dialogue with the World. Also, many years ago, I was struck by what Jesuit theologian Father John Culkin wrote in one of his articles about film, that if Jesus were to begin his ministry today, wanting to reach a large audience, he would become a filmmaker. What an idea, I thought, for it is the filmmakers who are today's storytellers, drawing vast crowds in a way similar to that of Jesus when he told his stories. Stories that challenge our values, as in his prejudice-attacking parable of the Good Samaritan, and in a very similar way, the Hollywood parable, Philadelphia, a film challenging the conventional prejudice against homosexuals. Jesus' venues were different from today's. His were open fields, hillsides, and lake shores, whereas today's visual parable makers are found in theaters, video stores, and on cable and television. Now, I know that it's easy to write off Hollywood with so many tawdry movies being foisted upon an unwary public, but each week I'm so pleased to find amidst all the junk one or two films that are challenging, even uplifting. And lest we get too serious with what should be also a playful matter, I should add that I don't always think that labeling a movie escapist is necessarily damning. All of us at times, I think, need to escape for a while from our daily grinds. Therefore, I don't try to cover every film in Visual Parables, but I do seek out those which not only entertain us, but which also transport us to different lands or planets, and at times introduce us to people whom normally we would never meet, thrusting us into situations that challenge us also to join persons making a decision beyond their comfort zone. And so, I'm glad that you found, or soon will, the Visual Parables website, and I hope that you'll explore it to discover how much more it has to offer. Especially look through the sample issue of the journal and see how much more the site is than just a repository of film reviews. For example, my friend and colleague, Reverend Doug Sweet, reviews film books and also alerts us to upcoming DVD releases. And the Reverends Emily and Eric Larson have reviewed a shelf full of short DVDs that educators will find very useful for use with both children and adults. I hope that you will like what you discover at visualparables.net and that you'll return each week to read the new reviews posted. And if you want more out of your film viewing, who knows, perhaps you'll become a subscriber.